Depending on how well your brain was functioning in the mid to late 2000s, you may or may not have seen this. One of the greatest shows to ever grace the big screen. And by big screen, I mean my 43-inch TV in my bedroom at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night on Cartoon Network. Or I guess Adult Swim. Samurai Champloo. Now, why is the music channel talking about anime? Just hold on. Let me get through it. Let him cook! Honestly, if you listen to the backing track right now, you can kind of hear where I'm going with it. Samurai Champloo was probably one of the major reasons for the development and popularization of Lofi-hiphop as a genre. Of course, in that same era, people like Clams Casino, Jay Dilla, Madlib, they all played a part. But we got one special person to talk about, Nujabes. So, I'm not a historian like most people claim to be on the internet, but I was alive and I was watching. So I guess we can start with a little bit of background, and then I'm gonna just tell you about how I watched it go from just a regular production style to a global phenomenon, if we're being honest. So grab some popcorn. Imagine you're 8, 9, 10-year-old me. You're already not supposed to be up late, but you know the best shows come on 10, 11, 12 o'clock, which is past your bedtime, on Toonami and Adult Swim. So you sneaking up late at night and watching your shows. And then boom, you see this, Samurai Champloo. The main character looks a little ethnically ambiguous, so you're like, okay, all right. You're already locked in with, Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, Yu Hakusho, Bleach, everything that, comes on that late at night. But then you start to listen to the soundtrack here and you like, hold up, I see my people and I hear my people? Hold on. Instant hook. Imagine the shows you love and the music you love in the same place. It just didn't get any better than that. And not to mention, the show itself was gas. But, we're not even gonna get into all that. But anyway, Nujabes was a Japanese producer who's credited with doing a lot of the soundtrack for Samurai Champloo. Of course, there was other people involved, but I can't lie to you, every song that I remember liking and, just stayed with me has come from Nujabes. So, sorry guys. I do love a couple of Suchi songs though. So I'm gonna just put up the list of, all the other contributors so nobody feels left out. I love y'all too, man. It's still cranks. The blending of black culture, hip hop, Japanese culture, it just made sense. Like they was on there rapping, they were making beats out of, old jazz records, samples. They was breakdancing, like it just felt like the blackest a Japanese show could get without being weird. And hey, man, we loved it. We loved it so much, honestly. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but have y'all ever watched the Boondocks? Aaron Magruder, the creator of the Boondocks, actually is on record saying that he was inspired by Samurai Champloo. Not only the art style, but the fight choreography, the music, even some of the more serious themes. You can pick up a little bit of the Samurai Champloo aura in there. I don't even like using the word aura because TikTok done ruin that for me. But it's kind of funny how everything is just so cyclical. Art imitates life, imitates art, imitates life, and so on and so forth. And the anime, which was influenced by hip-hop and black culture, ends up influencing one of the most influential shows of that very same culture. It's crazy. But let's get back to Nujabes. In his lifetime, he only actually released 2 tapes. And if you're like me and most people, you discovered the Samurai Champloo soundtrack first, and then went back to earlier and later works. So that's the order I'm gonna tell it. You get to a point when you listen to enough music that you realize, I don't really need to understand what they're saying. There's just a feeling that comes across that you understand, okay, this is the emotion I'm supposed to feel with this song. Honestly, it might also be the fact that the show was so great and the emotions were conveyed through the music as well. But you can kind of see, even in the comments of the YouTube video, of people that I know probably don't know Japanese and just listening to the song, the emotions that they're feeling just off of listening, it's something special. But for my favorite, it's a toss-up between Aurorian Dance and Mistline. Mainly because these were the ones that started my obsession with lo-fi music. Why? I couldn't tell you. He put crack in it. Of course, we could talk about the instruments he used to create that relaxed, somber feeling, or the key he played in, or the swing, the spacing, or any of that other good stuff. But music theory tends to just sound a little pretentious to people that don't really understand it, and I barely understand it myself. What I much rather talk about is how the music makes you feel, because at the end of the day, that's probably the most important part. What did you get from it? For me, I personally got about 10 years of enjoyment, a clear mind, and a lot of done homework. So the soundtrack was first, and after that, I think most of us found Modal Soul and Metaphorical Music. Two great albums. Each was an expansion upon the one before. And slowly but surely, in the 2010s, you start to see a great uptick in the amount of people just watching the show, listening to the songs, YouTubing, and the cult fan base just gets more and more reinvigorated. Forums, Discords, YouTube comments, more and more communities being built. And whenever there's music to be enjoyed, there's a producer that's gonna make it. Sadly, he did not get to see his impact, but his contemporaries, Dilla, Madlib, Clamps Casino, and the people that he inspired that kept pushing the sound afterwards keep his name alive. Now, I can't really have a lo-fi conversation or a production conversation without mentioning Jay Dilla, even though this video is not for him. I think all producers sleep with a copy of Donuts, under their pillow, hoping for the Dilla fairy one day to just come and bless them with an MPC. But Nujabes' association with this show that became a cult classic definitely put him on the same standing as a Jay Dilla in some people's eyes. Sadly, his work was only really widely appreciated after he passed, which is, a sad case that happens to a lot of creators and artists. But as corny as it sounds, his story is definitely living on through the music. And now, lo-fi is something that a lot of people can't live without. In terms of productivity, or just anything, honestly. We got lo-fi girl, lo-fi boy, lo-fi frog, lo-fi bear, and just endless creators, artists, consumers that just love the sound. And not that they can't live without it, but just need the sound, much like they would need any other art form. All of this from a couple of inspired young men just hitting buttons on their MPC. But what does this mean for us as the fans? For many of us who grew up watching Samurai Champloo or listening to these artists, it meant finding a community. It meant discovering that your love for both hip-hop and anime wasn't just validated, it was celebrated. The show, the songs, and the genre as a whole affirmed our identities and connected us with like-minded individuals all over the world. I think this Afro and Japanese community that we've been building through lo-fi, anime, and just hip-hop culture being mixed together has influenced so much of what we would now call underground hip-hop culture, and at times mainstream culture as well. There's so many subgenres of the music that just have Japanese influence, culture, and sounds just sprinkled throughout. Like, I don't know if we all remember this or if it wasn't common knowledge to everyone, but do we remember XXXTentacion, a super influential artist of his time? And a lot of his major records, a lot of his sound came from sampling these lo-fi records from people like Shiloh, Patsu, or whoever else. And again, that's another example. Art imitates life, imitates art, and the cycle goes on. All from one show from our guy Shinichiro, man. That only had 26 episodes. Shit's crazy to think. Lo-fi has been with us through ups and downs. Always there to remind us the beauty in collaboration, man. Blending different art forms from all over the world, mixing and matching sampling styles, visual media, jazz, and just blending worlds and perspectives and regional sounds. And the creativity required for all this is kind of representative of the idea that, like, this shouldn't just be reserved for one group of people. This is a very interconnected type of activity. Inspiration can come from super unexpected places, as we can see. So everybody keep celebrating it, and don't let social media tell you this is not for you. Just do what you want, bro. But honestly, that's enough about what I think. What do you think?